I got a question a few weeks ago. Coach, the product owner is pushing too much work and setting deadlines. How do you stop this as a Scrum Master? That's a very good question and something that I see happening in most companies I've worked with, especially companies who just started their Agile journey or Scrum journey. You see, the old model, the classic waterfall model, upper management, middle management, they call the shots. They decide on the destiny of the team. They decide on what product to build. And in some cases, even how to build the product. But in Agile, it's the other way around. The team is self-managed, self-organized. They decide what to build and how to build it and by when to build it. The way the question is phrased, it makes me feel that the product owner either doesn't understand Agile or Scrum, or doesn't understand the role of a product owner in Scrum. Let's quickly get back to the basics. As per the Scrum Guide 2020, the product owner is accountable for maximizing the value of a product resulting from the work of a Scrum team, developing and explicitly communicating the product goal, creating and clearly communicating product backlog items, ordering product backlog items, ensuring that the product backlog is transparent, visible, and understood. Nowhere is it mentioned that the product owner calls the shots. When the product owner can push work to the team, too much work to the team, but the product owner is supposed to be setting deadlines for the team. It's not mentioned in the Scrum Guide. And there's a reason for that. All these things are not mentioned in the product owner section of this guide because they are mentioned somewhere else in the sprint planning session. You know what the sprint planning is all about. It's about the team creating a plan for the coming sprint and committing on the sprint goal. As per the Scrum Guide 2020, the sprint planning addresses the following topics. Number 1, why is this sprint valuable? Topic number 2, what can be done this sprint? Through discussion with the product owner, the developers select items from the product backlog to include in the current sprint. The Scrum team may refine these items during this process, which increases understanding and confidence. And topic number 3, how will the chosen work get done? For each selected product backlog item, the developer plans the work necessary to create an increment that meets the definition of done. This is often done by decomposing product backlog items into smaller work items of 1 day or less. How this is done is at the sole discretion of the developers. No one else tells them how to turn product backlog items into increments of value. It's pretty clear. The developers, the development team, they do the planning, not the product owner, not the Scrum Master. Now, let's get back to the original question. The product owner is pushing too much work on the team, setting deadlines. How do you stop this as a Scrum Master? You read the statement in the Scrum Guide 2020. It's pretty clear. The first mistake here is that the product owner never pushes work to the team or sets deadlines. In Scrum, the product owner owns the product backlog, defines the user stories, sets the priorities so that the team knows what to tackle first. Then in the sprint planning, the team works together on a plan for the sprints and commits on a number of things to complete in the coming sprint and decides on a sprint goal under the guidance of a Scrum Master. Now, if the product owner is creating the sprint during the sprint planning, deciding all the tasks, assigning tasks to people, or even the Scrum Master is doing that, and then setting deadlines, telling the team what to do and how to do it and when to do it, you're not doing Scrum. You're doing something else, but it's not called Scrum. The first thing you need to do here as a Scrum Master is understanding why. Ask the product owner, maybe call the product owner, do a one-to-one conversation with a product owner, not with a team, with a product owner alone, and ask the product owner, why does the product owner feel that they need to push work, set deadlines on the team? Why? Ask the product owner and listen. Don't comment on the reasons why they are doing that. Listen and really understand why the product owner is doing this. And you'll find that in most cases, you'll get these types of answers. Number 1, the team is not doing enough. The product owner might feel that the team ain't doing enough, they ain't working enough, they could do so much more, they are lazy. Ask the product owner, enough based on what? Why does the product owner feel that the team ain't doing enough? Ask the product owner, and you realize that in most cases, the product owner is comparing the team to another team, maybe a current other team working on another project right now, or a team that the product owner worked with 4 years, 5 years ago. And this approach, obviously, it's not a good approach. There's so many variables that could result in another team doing better compared to this team. So many things, because better in terms of speed is not always good. At the end of the day, what's the goal of a product owner? Is to maximize value, is to build valuable things, products, services that the customer will love using. The product owner shouldn't focus only on rapid delivery, setting deadlines, and just producing nonsense just for the sake of delivering things. Value is way more important than speed. The second reason you hear often is that management, upper management, they have set a deadline. I really can't do anything about it. So basically, a helpless product owner. As per the Scrum Guide 2020, for Scrum to work in the team, in the organization must respect the decisions of a product owner, and it's clearly not being done here. The team is supposed to be self-managed, self-organized. They decide what to build and how to build it. Management, upper management, all these people are stakeholders, and stakeholders shouldn't be involved in the planning of a team. Not even the product owner or the Scrum Master is involved in the planning of a team, meaning they decide what the team needs to deliver. Again, Scrum is not being used here, and maybe the product owner is not even aware of this. So go through the Scrum Guide 2020, the role of a product owner, with a product owner, do some training, do some coaching, and even some stakeholder management coaching with a product owner. Here are some tips that you can use when doing this coaching with a product owner. First, you shouldn't be treating all stakeholders equally. There's a power interest graph that you're seeing on the screen right now that you can use to identify the power and interest of each stakeholders involved in the project, involved in the product or service you're developing. As a team, you should be treating all the stakeholders based on this graph, according to this graph, based on their power, based on their interests. Much more time, much more engagement should be given to stakeholders with high power and high interest compared to other stakeholders with low power and low interest. Tip number 2, the product owner should act like an owner. It's in the name, it's in the role. Owner. The product owner is the owner of the business. The product owner is responsible for the return of investment, the ROI, of a business, of a project, of a product. And with this ownership comes authority, which helps the product owner manage stakeholders more effectively because there's some sort of authority. The product owner is the owner. They should abide to the decisions of the product owner. And it's in the Scrum Guide. To make Scrum work, all the stakeholders need to respect the decision of a product owner. So the product owner needs to make him or herself respected by all the stakeholders. And the product owner is also accountable for maximizing value of a product being delivered or service being delivered by the team. Tip number 3, don't be afraid to say no to stakeholders. I know it's hard. It's hard to say no to stakeholders because sometimes the stakeholders are managers, upper management. People are praising you afterwards, people that you report to, your direct supervisors, and it's hard to say no to them. But you got the role of a product owner. Remember, they must respect your decision. It's in the Scrum Guide. If they don't believe in that, stop doing Scrum. Do something else. But if they believe that they want to do Scrum, they need to respect your decision. And you decide, you know what's good for a product, for a service, for a thing that the team is delivering. If you feel that what the stakeholders, we are always requesting stuff for stakeholders. If you feel that what the stakeholders is not going to maximize value, it's not right for a product right now to develop, say no. Simply say no. Another tip is setting expectations. It's important as a product owner that you set expectations with all the stakeholders. Obviously, stakeholder A, the expectation of a stakeholder will not be the same as a stakeholder with higher power and interest in the project, in the product. So set expectations with all the stakeholders individually, what they need to know and what they are expecting from the project. It's a discussion. And once you know what they are expecting from the project, you already told them what they need to know, what will be shared to them. You should communicate with them around these expectations that were previously agreed on. Which brings me to my next point. If you want more tips, insights on Agile, Scrum, personal growth, click on the video that stands out the most on the screen right now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.